Rabbi, do you know what this means?
Yes, it's a call for the destruction of the state of Israel and probably the killing of Jews everywhere.
I am being asked and called to clarify and make a statement yet again for the millionth time that I am not anti-Semitic nor anti-Jew.
What's up, YouTube? It's Count, aka Count puts you on, and today we are talking about how to make an anti-Semite. This will be a step-to-step guide, so please follow closely. So the government has been doing its usual silencing of protesters, the U.S. government specifically, all over the country regarding the destruction that Israel has been raining down on Palestine, more specifically Gaza, after the events of October 7th, 2023, where Hamas murdered 1,200 Israeli citizens, rest in peace, and this extremist group caused a lot of deaths. Since then, Israel, as you probably know, has murdered around 50,000 Palestinians. I think caused like around 113,000 casualties, like wounded people, in the besieged territory following the Hamas attacks. Now, those are the recent numbers. They might be up higher, I'm not sure. But so due to this clearly oppressive Israeli government, this has led to many pro-Palestine protests happening across the world in large mass in the United States. I have personally seen multiple Chicago protests just walking the street saying free Palestine, things like that. And this is mainly due to the U.S. backing Israel. It's basically been glazing Israel and has put enormous pressure on politicians on the left and the right to fully back any pro-Israel initiatives and denounce any pro-Palestinian acts, whether that is a protest, a song, or even public posts. So the first solution to show that the U.S. loves Israel is basically to silence protesters, which to me hasn't been surprising. The U.S. is known to be doing that, but the extent that it's happening is kind of what caught me off guard. Even revoking the temporary citizenship of some students on visas, basically deporting people just casually if they speak out against Israel. If you want to make an anti-Semite, the first step is to silence your haters. Okay, this breaks down into multiple steps. So step 2 is to have keywords, trigger words to silence the supporters of Palestine. Okay, it's easy. So the next step in the process of silencing protesters was to misconstrue pro-Palestinian phrases with being anti-Semitic. Phrases like long live the Intifada, which basically means long live the rebellion or uprising, depending on who is translating it. Now, of course, there are cases in which extremely violent Palestinian extremist groups and or people have used these terms to mean harm to Israelis. As a whole is obviously wrong, okay? You should never be doing that. However, the vast majority of people are using these terms to be in support of Palestine, who is currently being bombed into oblivion by Israel. Like, they're being destroyed. This is similar to when politicians said BLM was inherently racist, because obviously it's not. But there's political and financial gain to saying that these terms are racist or violent. I remember some of my family members were like, mind you, I'm half black, half white. Okay, so the white side, I had some people that would be like, oh, well, Black Lives Matter isn't including white people, so it's racist. When Black Lives Matter was about being against police brutality that was facing black people. So rather than politicians actually addressing the actual issue, they would rather just sit there and be like, actually, there's a problem with this saying, it should include all lives matter. So the whole point of Black Lives Matter initially just lost. The whole thing was just lost. And then protesters were coming to be like all lives matter against Black Lives Matter. Everybody hates DEI till they're not included. Okay, it's kind of crazy. It's crazy. So now this is step 2.5 to creating an anti-Semite. Don't lose track now, okay? We're almost done. So now politicians are throwing the term anti-Semite around anywhere they think it could stick.
You don't think it's effective, but you would agree that this is calling for the destruction of the state of Israel. This is after the
No, Senator.
No, it's not. This isn't calling for the killing of Jews.
I don't know that person, and I don't know that sign. So
you don't know what this means?
I don't think.
You haven't seen this before? Did you see these protests on Rabbi, do you know what this means?
Yes, it's a call for the destruction of the state of Israel and probably the killing of Jews everywhere.
I do not agree with that, Senator. Long live the Intifada can mean different. As I see the problem,
it can mean different things. Wait a minute. This is.
I can support calling out racism, But a lot of these politicians are watering down the term, and it's impacting the importance and meaning to actual anti-Semitic acts. People actually being racist towards Jewish people. If you label everything as anti-Semitic, the word has no meaning. You gotta use it sparingly. Like, I don't call everybody racist, okay? I need to have evidence they're racist. Like, there needs to be actual terms, usage, violence, that I can clearly say this person's being racist. Because if I just call you racist for anything, like, let's say you don't like soul food, okay? I might be liable to call you racist, all right? But I'm not going to call you racist because it would water down when I actually use it. It's like the boy who cried wolf, okay? You can't just be using it willy-nilly. And one person who was recently labeled anti-Semitic was the artist Kehlani. Kehlani is, I think, an R&B artist is how it should be defined or classified. But Kehlani was supposed to perform in New York City on June 26, 2025. For her Pride with Kehlani show in New York City, which was organized by the nonprofit Summer Stage. That was until she was labeled anti-Semitic, an anti-Israel singer, Jew bashing. Also, like, people saying Jew feels like a slur. Like, I feel like Jewish bashing would have been cool to label her, but they went with Jew bashing. A few articles remarked that she is anti-Semitic due to her music video, where she had text that said, "Long live the Intifada." She said things like, Israel and eradicate Zionism. And if you don't know what Zionism is, it's a very complicated and loaded term, has an actual history. So a quick brief history of that is that Zionism can be defined in many ways, as according to Duke University, including as a nationalist, political, and or ideological movement for the establishment and sustaining of statehood or homeland for the Jewish people. Zionism frames many of the conflicts within Israel/Palestine conflict. This is Drake University. So the term itself, basically to summarize, actually has a beautiful sentiment, which is being a safe haven for all Jewish people around the world. Due to Jewish people being persecuted from various countries. I mean, we know, like, the Holocaust, right? This has been happening throughout history. Unfortunately, this term has been directly linked to all things relating the government of Israel, rather than the land and message itself. So this caused people who are pro the Israeli government to be called Zionists, leading to this term being muddied and becoming a catch-all for the government of Israel supporters, while also being a term for the supporters of the land of Israel, which is for the protection of Jewish people, which are very, very two different things. Politicians and supporters of the Israeli government basically use this and weaponize this confusion and classification of this term to widen the usage of anti-Semitism. So now, according to these supporters, if you comment on Zionism or you don't consider yourself a Zionist, you are against the safe haven of Jewish people, which then they jump to the conclusion which makes you want death to all Jewish people. When in reality, if you take into account the context surrounding these anti-Zionist remarks, specifically with Kehlani, it's clear that she is commenting on the Israeli government rather than the people actually in Israel. And this is due to them causing 50,000 casualties, okay? The government caused 50,000 casualties, not the Jewish people in the state. Which, just to clarify how many 50,000 is, here's some U.S. cities that are that size. Just to give you context, these are real places, bro. So imagine those cities just eradicated into extinction, pretty much. And I want to be very, very clear, okay? Zionism now has two meanings due to the government construing this, basically manufacturing another meaning to Zionism, which is the Israeli government, okay? This put Zionism here at the top. It branches into the Israeli government, and it also branches into people wanting a safe haven within the world, a space that's for Jewish people, by Jewish people, for the protection of Jewish people. Basically, the government has misconstrued this term on purpose. So I just want to break that down. When I say, like, when I'm speaking about Zionism, you got to take into context these two meanings, and you need to correctly apply both those when it makes sense. I don't blame the everyday person, and especially Jewish people, for the confusion and being taken aback when they hear someone is an anti-Zionist. However, I do blame the Israeli government for not distancing its actions and ongoing conflicts with its image of being a Zionist state. Israel attempts to hold this sacred ideology of being a safe haven for Jewish people, as well as running itself as every other government would, which is to create profit and increase power and control. Of course, I believe that a Zionist state fully has the right to defend itself and do counterattacks if a neighboring country is attacking them. That I can understand, okay? However, going on the offensive and wiping out an entire people loses you the right to represent yourself as a country just trying to protect the Jewish religion. Because if you were truly trying to do that, you wouldn't be taking the offensive of trying to overtake land. Okay? It unfortunately uses Judaism as a shield and calls anyone an anti-Semite who critiques or goes against Israel, which again is conflating the state of Israel and Judaism. And I want to make a quick side note here that if you are a person, okay, or you know someone who conflates these things and saying that, oh, Israel represents Judaism, then you have to accept the fact and contend with the fact that everything that Israel does, according to you, is within the name of Judaism, the best interest of Judaism, which means that this is what the Lord wants you to do. Okay, this is what a religion is telling you to do. Okay, it's no better than when the Christians went on the Crusades and actively took over and tried to push their agenda on other places in the name of God. They said, oh, if you attack us, you're attacking God. You're attacking the Christian belief. This is the same thing. When in reality, this conflict spans, it may have stemmed from a religious thing, but now there's actual citizens and people there that are trying to live. And if you're saying that Israel represents Judaism, then that means that Israel killing civilians is in the name of Judaism, which I think people would say is wrong. But I don't know, maybe not. Maybe they don't see that as wrong. I, however, feel like that's a bad conflation, and I think it's harmful to Judaism and people who are Jewish. I think it is impactful. And I, as a person who, grew up as a Christian, grew up kind of in, a Christian environment, if I saw, whenever I see the U.S. saying that, we're a Christian nation, it's like, ooh. It's like, ooh. Because now it's like when we go to Iraq, we're doing it in the name of the Christian state, which isn't right, okay? When we go to Afghanistan, we're doing it as a Christian state, rather than the United States government and politicians who want to take over, right? That's huge, okay? That's an important distinction. So that's why when Kehlani is against Zionists, through context, it can be understood what she's saying. She's against the Israeli government. However, City Councilwoman Julie Menin, she's a Democrat from Manhattan, praised quote-unquote nixing the singer's event, saying canceling this concert was 100% the correct course of action. City parks should celebrate inclusivity and not eradicate, denigrate any community with hate speech. She said, adding, taxpayer dollars should not be utilized to promote hate speech against any group. And Mayor Adams then goes, and Mayor Adams is the mayor of New York. Mayor Adams' press secretary, Kayla Mamelik, I think that's how you say her name, said the administration is grateful to the foundation for acknowledging the safety issues and canceling the City Park show. Now, this is all from the New York Post, so any mess up of the quotes, blame the New York Post. That's where I'm getting this. All these politicians are following a singular agenda, and that means that the media is following behind, right? And I just mentioned the New York Post. The New York Post is one of the worst news websites I've seen regarding this event cancellation, because I looked at many reports, NBC News, a whole bunch of other different places. They've been the main ones calling Kehlani Jew bashing and pushing an incorrect rhetoric. One of their statements was, quote, but even basic research would have turned up her views on social media supporting violence against Israel. Outraged students and faculty said Monday, and they also said this is a second statement, a single Google search with the words Kehlani and Israel provides scores of Instagram hits about her hostility towards the Jewish state. I find it interesting that they specify that she was making hostile claims against the Jewish state and don't clarify it's the Jewish state of Israel, because Israel is the main factor here. Or that she is critiquing the government instead of a people. That would have been cool too. And then they double down on this by putting in the headline that she's Jew bashing, which is genuinely just insane, okay? Because she's obviously critiquing the government of Israel. And it's sad watching this confusion and these debates and misconstruing these terms, because they spark outrage and arguments between people who are misled by these terms. I watched 30 hours of Ethan Klein and Hassan drama, who are two political content creators who I believe are relatively kind of on the same side, but the usage of these terms and kind of the confusion behind these words make it hard for them to even have an agreement, okay? These are two YouTubers, content creators. And so even within the content creation space, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, we see this confusion and this propaganda machine made by politicians basically sparking issues between people. When in reality, we should be critiquing the government together, okay? Because as a people, it's our job to critique the government. All right, they're not going to critique themselves. I even watched Bernie Sanders. He's been on a podcast and content creator run as well, speaking out against kind of this conflation of Zionism and the state of the Israeli government.
I am Jewish, all right? I detest anti-Semitism, as I hope everybody does. It's a horribly destructive ideology. What Netanyahu wanted and what Trump is following through on is to equate any criticism of Israel with being anti-Semitic. It's like someone criticized the Irish government, suddenly we hate Irish people. It's insane, but that is what they're trying to do.
Because these are two different things. Remember, these are two different things. Okay? The actions of the Israeli government and Zionism are two different things. It's interesting to see Bernie talk about it because Bernie Sanders is Jewish. So I think it leads you to understand that he's not like biased in this way. And it's important to understand that. Now, I wouldn't consider myself a political YouTuber, but unfortunately, whether I like it or not, politics affects music, art, and life, because living is political. And I wanted to make a video to mainly talk about how the media and the government are impacting artistry within the world and silencing people based on a political agenda, rather than advocating for the safety of children. Okay, they misconstrue topics, they misconstrue words, on purpose to influence a population, right, that is currently susceptible to propaganda due to heightened emotions and fear. The Jewish population, I can imagine, is seeing the government talk about how people want to end all Jewish people, and that makes you instantly be like, whoa, let me protect everything I have, okay? So now when somebody says they're against Zionism, I'm not even going to look into the context that they're talking about the Israeli government. I'm going to instantly think about the initial use of that term, right? And that's understandable because you're a regular person, bro. You don't have time to look into Kalani's political background and what she's saying.
I am being asked and called to clarify and make a statement yet again for the millionth time that I am not anti-Semitic nor anti-Jew. I am anti-genocide. I am anti the actions of the Israeli government. I am anti an extermination of an entire people. I'm anti the bombing of innocent children, men, women. That's what I mean.
You're a regular person. I myself am not as political as I think I should be. I'm not as big of an advocate as I should be. I'm a regular person. I got a 9 to 5, bro. I don't have time. I'm a content creator too. I don't blame the everyday person. I blame the politician because this is their job. And they're purposely influencing the population and constantly misconstruing these terms on purpose for profit and gain. That's what I got a problem with, bro. I got a problem with that. All right, I got a problem with that. And it's like, first they'll come for the Palestinians, right? Then they're going to move to other minority groups and eventually coming for Jewish people too. We're in this world to be good people. Okay, that's my fundamental belief. You don't have to believe it. You may want to be a bad person. You might want to be like Darth Vader or something, or Palpatine. Okay, that's your business. That's you. But for me, I want to be in this world and do my best to be a good person, to give back where I can, and have a large positive impact on the world. That's my overall goal. And if I can't advocate for children not being murdered, then we have a problem, bro. We have a genuine problem. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I don't want to see civilians murdered on Israel's side, on the Palestinian side. I don't want to see people's land be taken over on the Israel side or the Palestinian side. Because at the end of the day, like, I just want people to vibe. Okay, like that's all I want. I just want people to vibe. I apologize that this video has been more political than all my other videos. But I do think it's important to talk about it. Even content creators have been silenced. So I feel like it's my place, duty, responsibility to kind of advocate when I can. And like, I feel passionate and like got a spark of creativity to write an entire essay. I don't normally write out a lot of these videos in depth the way that I did here. I had a teleprompter, which like you could probably see I was like kind of reading off of for the first time. So I really wanted to like make sure this was clear, concise, had a point to it. So I appreciate you guys all tuning in. Please advocate for your communities, advocate for people around you, advocate for everyone, okay, when you can. But also give yourself peace and space. All right? Give yourself grace. But as always, thank you guys for watching the video. I have a new video up every Wednesday and Thursday, usually every week. So definitely check me out then. Please let me know what you think about it down in the comments below. As always, I love you guys and appreciate you guys. Peace out. Be smooth.